Welcome to ARAM IAS Academy's newspaper teaching class. Myself is Rijesh, Faculty of Current Affairs and Sociology. So the today's news is, of course, Tilak made freedom struggle truly Indian, says Amit Shah. So it's a very important news because he spoke about a most important person in freedom struggle, and that happens to be Bala Gangadhar Tilak or Lokmanya Tilak. Got it? A very powerful person, very ferocious person, and he is called as extremist by moderators, and he vocally support Indian freedom movement. We'll go into his ideologies, his political understandings, so forth and so on. He is an educationist. We should understand almost all the freedom fighters are educationists. They promoted education, and they think that, and they thought that education is a right medium to reach or to awake the masses against the British. So he is one of the founder of Deccan Education Society in 1884, along with Gopal Ganesh Agakar and others. So very important person. There is a chance of asking this question also. One of the founders of Ferguson College in 1885 in Pune through the Deccan Education Society. So society was found already, and based on the society, a college was also founded. So these two are good examples to say that Tilak is an educationist. Subsequently, he is also having a very, uh, good political life. His political life is like a gem. Along with Lala Lajpat Rai and Bipin Chandra Pal, trios, these three, along with Lala Lajpat Rai and Bipin Chandra Pal, that happens to be Lal Bal Pal. Got it? Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Bala Gangadhar Tilak, Bal Pal. So all three are trio leaders with an extremist outlook. Got it? They are not like moderators. Moderators are like more submissive to British authority, but these three doesn't have such an outlook. They vocally ferocious. They want to awaken the masses. But the truly aspects who awaken the masses is Gandhi, but they want to awaken the masses. He was one of the earliest and the most vocal proponent of complete independence or Swaraj. So he spoke about Swaraj also. See, Swaraj, according to INC, Purna Swaraj came by 1930s, but he gave a vocal proponent to self-rule Swaraj as early as the ending days of 19th century. Got it? So we should understand he is very much in support of Swaraj. He joined INC in 1890. Of course, Indian National Congress is one of the most powerful and only one all India movement against British government, and he is a part of that particular INC. See, Surat split, that happens to be in 1907. It is INC's annual session happens in Surat, and in that session, the extremists want one of the extremists to be the president of INC Surat, but the moderators are not ready to allow any extremist to head INC session, and that made extremist moderators split, and that happens to be Surat split. See, you should understand that moderators are more submissive. They always use PPP strategy. Got it? But here, with respect to extremists, they are more vocally a proponent for a better rule by British in India, not so submissive. They want to excite the masses to be the part of the political struggle. But early moderators are not ready to do. See, moderators are fearing that if extremist became the president of INC, the whole INC character would be changed from moderator to extremist, and then that definitely gets the wrath of British government. So they are afraid of giving the role or the presidentship to extremists, and that made Surat split finally. See, there is a pact called Lucknow Pact that happens to be 1916. See, that pact is between Indian National Congress and All India Muslim League, led by, of course, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and here with our INC is led by Tilak. See, there is a pact between Hindu-Muslim unity. And this particular Lucknow Pact is considered as fulcrum of the particular Hindu-Muslim unity, because for the first time, after getting enough political knowledge, both Hindus and Muslims comes together to fight against British government, and that happens to be because of this particular Lucknow Pact. So you should remember two important things. One is Surat split and next one is Lucknow Pact. Bala Gangadhar Tilak's ideology. See, his ideology is related to Hindu and Hindu scriptures. So he is a man of religion. He always believed in his religious ideals and his religious understandings. And moreover, he emphasized the importance of culture and religious revival. He thought that by bringing culture and religious revivalism in those people who are generally dormant against the British struggle, and he thought that this culture and religious revivalism will make them more ferocious against the British government. So he always try to touch culture and religious revivalism. See, his slogan is very, very famous slogan. Even Amit Shah, recently, said the slogan, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. It's a birthright. Birthright is equated to human rights. So all human who born in this world have right to be free. But in British government, the Indians are not free. So he says it is my birthright. Got it? You can equate this particular dialogue with John Locke also. John Locke is a person who spoke about natural rights. If you are a human, you will have inalienable right. And one such inalienable right is freedom. And he organized Shivaji Jayanti and Ganesh Chatru festival. The Shivaji Jayanti. Shivaji, a most famous Maratha king, and he want to celebrate him by promoting cultural activities and religious activities. He want to bring many people against the British government. That's his idea. So Shivaji, it's not Shiv Jayanti, it's Shivaji Jayanti. So Shivaji Jayanti he want to promote, and Ganesh festival he want to promote, and he did it. And both the festival are even celebrated today. A book called India Unrest, that is written by Valentin Cheral. In that particular book, he mentioned Bala Gangadhar Tilak as father of India unrest, because his ideologies, his political life really made India unrest. That means he promoted masses to be the part of national movement. Subsequently, All India Home Rule League. See, he want to promote Swaraj. At least he want to promote the self-rule which was already adopted in Ireland. We should know a woman called Annie Besant. The Annie Besant who came from Ireland, and she promoted Home Rule League in India to promote self-rule on the lines of Ireland. And that was impressed, Bala Gangadhar Tilak, and he found something called in All India Home Rule League. And he worked in Maharashtra in these provinces, central provinces, Karnataka and Berar. Remaining all the areas, the Home Rule League was famous by Annie Besant. So Annie Besant, one side, she was doing Home Rule League, and other side, only in Maharashtra, especially in these areas. This can be a potential question. Got it? Central province, Karnataka and Berar, only in these three areas, Bala Gangadhar Tilak was promoting this Home Rule League. But in remaining all the areas in India as a pan-India level, it was Annie Besant who was promoting this particular Home Rule League. So you should understand, he was impressed by this particular idea called Home Rule League. It was a movement in British India on the lines of Irish Home Rule movement. What is the British early gave home rule to Irish. That is, the ultimate head will be British kingdom, but they can rule themselves. But in India, British was directly ruling. So why can't you give me that I can rule myself and you can be the ultimate person? Got it? So India wants such a facility, but it is completely destroyed after this particular home rule movement. But anyhow, we got independence after 30 years from the home rule league. So we should understand this particular Tilak was very famous in this home rule league also. Got it? So he is such a gem of Indian freedom fighting movement, and you should always remember what all his contributions. Next news is all about PLI scheme. PLI scheme is nothing more than protection linked incentive scheme. Protection linked incentive scheme. We'll go into what is the scheme. Slowly you'll understand this. See, the Electronics and Information Technology Ministry have notified this particular protection linked incentive scheme for, please understand, large scale electronic manufacturing. Please understand, not for micro, small or medium industries. It is only for large scale electronics manufacturing industry. Got it? We'll go into the details of PLI. The scheme offers a production linked incentives to boost domestic manufacturing and attract large investors in mobile phone manufacturing and specified electronic component, including assembly, testing, making and packaging. ATMP we used to call. See, India is actually now promoting self-reliant program. We want to export a lot. We want to stop the imports. So if you want to export a lot and if you want to produce a lot, it is important to attract big industries into India. How we can attract? By giving certain incentives, by giving certain regulations, or by giving certain flexible regulations, and that is this particular incentives. This incentive scheme is called production linked incentives. It means if you increase your production within India, I will give incentives. That's it. If you are producing 10 mobile phone today, you are producing 20 mobile phone tomorrow, and you have improved your capacity by 100%, then I will give certain incentives because you are producing more inside India, which means we will have more employment, we will have more mobile phones within India, and that to produce within India, and the remaining mobile phone after the sale in India will be exported. So from that we can get forex reserve also, and that is called protection linked incentives. Purely an economic concept. Got it? See, target segments. You can find a word called target segments. The target segments are mobile phones, transistors, diodes, nanoelectric components, capacitors, and resistors. See, these are the components we used to buy from other nations, especially China, especially from Western European nations, Canada, USA. We used to buy these materials from those nations. It is important to produce those materials within India. So we need large scale investors. How we can attract those investors? By saying, if you come and establish your factory within India, and if you increase your productions, I will give you certain incentives. And that incentives will be somewhere around 4 to 6% on incremental sale over the base year. See, in example, I say yesterday, today. Yesterday is base year and today is the present year. The base year may be before 2 years. So before 2 years, you are producing 100 mobile phones in your factory, and now you are producing 200 mobile phones in your factory. So I'm so happy with your increased production, increased outcome in volume of your products. So I'll give you incentives of 4 to 6%. Got it? And that incentives will be based on any cost. Got it? That may be on based on your income tax or whatever it is. They will give you certain incentives of goods manufactured in India and covered under target segments to eligible companies for the period of 5 years. So I'll give you incentives if you increase your production continuously for 5 years. After 5 years, I won't give any incentives. But until 5 years, you will get certain incentives. It may be a money or in-kind incentives. Got it? To the base year as defined. The base year is yet to define properly. We need to go through the rules, but we don't want that particular base year because already we are overflowed with a lot of base year. Yesterday we spoke about IIP 2011-12, but here the ministry is yet to clarify what is the base year. We will shortly know. Subsequently, who all are eligible for the particular PLI scheme, protection linked incentives. All electronic manufacturing companies which are eligible, which are either India or have a registered unit in India will be eligible to apply for the particular scheme. Got it? So any mobile phone companies who are already in India or registered in India. These companies can either create a new unit or seek incentives for their existing unit from one or more locations in India. So each and every particular location will have incentives. For example, if Nokia is establishing 3 different factories in India, they can go for 3 different incentives in 3 different factories. That's an important point because one factory, they may have more production. Another factory, they may have a little less production. But anyhow, they can go for incentives in each and every unit. And that particular incentives may be on any type. Maybe for example, Government of India may go for less corporation tax, or they can say you don't want to pay your water tax or you don't want to pay your electricity bill in certain percentage reductions. So it can be anything. So you should understand that incentive linked is based on production. So if you increase your production, I'll give more incentives. If you're not going to increase your productions, I will not give incentives. And thus you understand what is the concept. Now we can go to the news and see Samsung, Foxconn and Apple either are now showing some type of interest in linking themselves with this particular protection links, the subsidy of this particular electronics and information technology ministry. Got it? So this is going to be a huge boost to our local manufacturing, and definitely it will attract more investors and will have more employment and thus more forex reserve. Forex reserve is foreign exchange reserve. If I'm doing more exports, less imports, my forex reserve keeps on building. That is important. We'll go into the next scheme. That's next news. It's all about Dhole conservation. See, this is nothing more than actually a type of wild dog. Okay. So this particular piece of news appeared because recently a study was conducted by Wildlife Conservation Trust that happens to be in the University of Florida, and they found that this particular conservation of this particular dhole is not been properly established in India. So we'll go into the study news and subsequent related news about the particular wild dog. A study has pointed out that Karnataka, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh ranks high in the conservation of the particular endangered species. Please understand, according to IUCN status, this particular animal is endangered. It is important to improve the habitation of the particular animal because if you improve the habitation of the particular animal, it acts as a top predator and it will try to maintain the ecological balance. See, it is important to promote Eastern Ghats for the particular animal habitat. If you promote Eastern Ghats for this particular animal by bringing more prey, more habitation protection, you can promote the particular animal's population also. If you promote Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Odisha, and that happens to be in Eastern Ghat, doing so would strengthen the link between the population of the animal from Western Ghats and Central India. So if you promote the habitation of the particular animal in Eastern Ghat, it will act as a link between Western Ghat and Central India. See, the Western Ghats are actually a good landscape that promotes this particular animal, but the Eastern Ghat itself is also a good landscape, but the governments like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Odisha are not doing that much needed to promote the particular animal's habitat. Subsequently, the Western Ghat perhaps support the large population of the particular species, but still the Eastern Ghat yet to support this. See, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Telangana and Goa should improve their financial investments in forest and wildlife sector. See, this particular piece of information is not related to the particular animal, but the particular study says that these particular states, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Telangana and Goa, are not doing enough to promote their wildlife and forest activities. So they recommended them, these states should promote their wildlife activities. Got it? Early we saw about that species, but this is something different, and moreover, ease of granting forest clearance for infrastructure project should be reversed. These states are giving very easy clearance to infra projects with respect to environment. And this particular study pointed out that the ease of giving the clearance should be reversed and more stringent clearance mechanism should be followed, because these states are now contributing for more pollution and destruction of wildlife. Subsequently, we should know about the particular animal. Please understand it is an endangered animal. See, the only other endangered animal in the higher level predator is tiger. So only it is tiger, and this particular dhole is the endangered animal in Indian forest. See, they play an important role as the apex predator, thus maintaining the ecosystem balance. They hunt in packs and tend to venture into forested landscape adjoining the protected area. So they will move out of the forest and come back inside the forest also. It is also protected under Wildlife Schedule Act, but Schedule number 2. You should understand tiger is protected under Schedule number 1 and this is protected Schedule number 2. But anyhow, this is also endangered and tiger is also endangered species. We'll go into the next news. So very small news, because recently we are seeing Arab world is exploring scientific activities. On this basis, recently United Arab Emirates launched a Mars mission, Hope mission. That's a very important mission from Japanese launch station, and now they promoted a nuclear power plant, and this particular nuclear power plant was built by consortium of South Korean companies. So that's the first reactor in the Arab world. So the plant is built by Korean Electric Power Corporation. It's a consortium. It's a group of companies come together to build the particular nuclear power plant. Is located in a particular desert very close to Persian Gulf. That's a very important point, because the Persian Gulf is always under problem, a constant threat of USA-Iran war. But still, they built a particular nuclear power plant that happens to be 4 nuclear reactors. Got it? So you should understand, the first reactor goes into criticality. The word criticality doesn't mean the particular reactor is in problem. The word criticality means the reactor is ready to give power. So once you saw in news like nuclear power plant attain criticality, it means from then the nuclear power plant will give energy and subsequently electricity. It will have total capacity of 5600 megawatts, one of the bigger power plants, which is almost fifth of country's current installed generating capacity. So 1/5. So this particular power plant is going to give 20% of electricity to the UAE. So first nuclear reactor have achieved first criticality. Criticality means the reactor is ready to give power from now on. So very important, you should remember, yes, of course it is UAE who launched mission and who launched first nuclear power plant in Arab world. Next news is all about coffee, because the coffee planters, the coffee farmers came out with a piece of news that they are so happy that they will have a good production. 3 lakh 20,000 tons to 3 lakh 40,000 tons of production they are expecting. So it's going to be a bounty production. So we should go into what is called blossom shower, coffee growing region, coffee board, and other related information with respect to coffee. See, coffee growing region in India. See, coffee is growing in 3 regions traditionally. That happens to be Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. What Tamil Nadu, of course, contribute little less, but Karnataka is actually responsible for most of the coffee production. Early we saw the rubber production also. Kerala is contributing more. Now it is coffee, Karnataka is contributing more. It is followed by new areas now developed in Andhra Pradesh and Odisha, and of course northeastern India also. Got it? So northeastern India have a similar environment, similar condition for coffee to grow, but the major production hub happens to be these 3 states: Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Kerala. The 2 well-known species of coffee happens to be Arabica and Robusta. We will go into the details of those coffees because it also a potential question. We should know about the history. Babu Budan. Babu Budan as a person, a Sufi saint, he traveled to Mecca. While returning, he was in the Mocha port of Yemen. He should come back to Karnataka subsequently, but he was in the particular port of Mocha, and that particular port is very famous for Mocha coffee also. So he was waiting there, and he, for the first time in his life, tasted the Mocha coffee. And he wanted to taste it regularly. But he cannot buy the particular coffee because it is generally baked and sealed and exported. Trade in green coffee is illegal. So please understand, the Arab knew coffee for a very long time, and it is unique and was extremely productive, and their coffee industry is more secretive in nature. So green coffee trade is illegal. Green coffee is like green seeds of the coffee. Got it? Generally it is baked and then packed and then sold to other nation. So you cannot cultivate the particular seed. But when it is green, you can cultivate it. So trade in green coffee is illegal. But Babu Budan want to taste it. Got it? So he thought of smuggling it. And he decided to smuggle instead. So he, kept 7 different green coffee seeds inside his beard. Sufi saints will have long beard. So he kept inside that. And why 7? 7 is sacred number in Islam. So if you take 7 green coffee, and according to Islam, it is not a sin. So he took 7 green coffee seeds, hide it in his, a beard, and he took to Karnataka, and he started to plant those things in Chandragiri Hills. And that particular hills is called as Babu Budan Giri Hills now. And that particular 7 different coffee seeds are the whole coffee industry of Karnataka. So that's how the history goes. That's how coffee came inside India. So it is Babu Budan. Subsequently, there are 2 different varieties of coffee that is generally sold in India. See, first one is Arabica. Arabica is very smooth coffee. Altitude generally in mountains more than 600 meters, these coffees are grown. World production is about 70%. But this particular coffee is always susceptible to certain types of bugs. And you need more attention to the coffee. If you are not giving attention to the coffee seeds, it will definitely create a huge loss. But the second one is Robusta. This is very strong coffee. Sea level, world production is 30%. Since this is very smooth, the world production is very high in Arabica. And hardly any bug can damage the particular coffee. And high in caffeine content. See, 50% more caffeine content than the Arabica. Caffeine content is not that good to humans. Hence, this particular coffee is not sold that much. This particular coffee is sold much. But we are producing both the coffees in India. You should know the difference because very well It can be a potential question in UPSC prelims. Subsequently, we should know what is this coffee board. In early newspaper teaching class, we also saw rubber board, and now it is going to be coffee board, and that happens to be under the Ministry of Commerce and Industries. Even rubber board comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industries because it's all related to trade aspects. It is statutory organization. This particular coffee board is a statutory organization, and that was constituted under Section 4 of Coffee Act 1942. The board mainly focused its activities in area of research, how to promote coffee, extension, how you can include many areas within the coffee cultivation, development of coffee, marketing intelligence, or somebody is stealing the secret of any coffee industry. They will look into all those things. External and internal promotion of coffee. They'll try to promote coffee as a beverage. So these are the major activities of this particular coffee board. And we should know the condition, the famous agriculture related prelims question or from this particular conditions. So the coffee plant required both hot and humid climate. So tropic areas are better areas for such coffee production. 15 degree to 28 degrees Celsius, and rainfall from 150 to 250 centimeters, that will definitely happen in tropic areas. Dry weather is necessary at the time of reaping of the berries. Dry weather is necessary at the time of reaping of the berries. When the weather is not dry, the berries will definitely decay. See, stagnant water is also harmful. That is why these coffees are generally grown from 600 meters to 1600 meters in altitude. Well drained soil containing good deal of humus. Humus are like minerals like iron, calcium, and ideal for coffee cultivation. So good humus that will provide a better soil, and subsequently minerals like iron, calcium are needed for particular coffee growing soil. And subsequently, you should know this particular blossom shower. See, the blossom shower are showers that happens before Indian monsoon. See, our coffee is also called as Indian monsooned coffee because monsoon rain promotes Indian coffee industry. But blossom shower is very important. Blossom showers are those rains which generally comes around somewhere around uh, you know uh, நண்பா நான் இந்த பாஸ் பண்ணி தான் வச்சிருக்கேன். நான் அப்படியே ப்ளே பண்ணிக்கிறேன். ஓகே, பாஸ் பண்ணி தான் வச்சிருக்கேன். இது லாஸ்ட் ஸ்லைடு, இதுக்கு அடுத்து முடிய போகுது. நான் அப்படியே ப்ளே பண்ணிக்கிறேன். பாஸ் பண்ணி தான் வச்சிருக்கேன். அது ஒரே ஃபைலாக தான் வரும், கவலைப்பட வேண்டாம். ஓகே ரைட்.